Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome to On Renewables, the podcast brought to you by the UAE Mission to IRENA, that's the International Renewable Energy Agency. My name is Nawal Al-Hosany, I am the UAE Permanent Representative to IRENA, and I'm going to be your host for this series that speaks to thought leaders in the fields of sustainability, renewable energy, climate change and the environment about the issues that is shaping the world we live in. My guest this episode is the entrepreneur, activist, and the author and the creator of The Blue Economy, Mr. Gunter Pauli. Gunter, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
So we are here today. Thank you so much for hosting us on board of MS Porrima, beautiful boat that is docked here at Dubai Harbour. So why Dubai? Why you are having this boat docked here and what brings you here?
Well, the first attraction that brought us here is the World Expo. I mean, the World Expo in the Emirates was such a grand event. And since we came from Japan and we were based in Japan for 20 months, Japan is the host of the next World Expo in 2025. So the city of Osaka and a group of entrepreneurs in Osaka asked us to please create a link between Dubai and Osaka by sailing quasi non-stop from Osaka to Dubai, 11,500 kilometers. And that was then the symbolic link. So we had Japanese delegations come over to really present to all the participants of the Dubai Expo the opportunity to come to Osaka, because this boat, after finishing its work in this part of the world, we're going to the Mediterranean, the Atlantic, and we're crossing the Pacific again. And we will be at the opening of the Osaka World Expo on the 14th of April, 2025.
And I look forward to being there and receiving you there.
Well, I hope so as well.
Fantastic. But before that, may I ask you about the name? What's the name, MS Porrima? What is the name? What does it mean?
Porrima is the name of the goddess, the Roman goddess of the future. Basically, this ship wants to bring the future to the present.
And I think we need to know a little bit more about the technologies, the amazing technologies that are on the boat in terms of renewable energy technology. I believe we were just talking about it. We have 800 solar panels on the boat, and then it also uses hydrogen generated from salt water. It has an intelligent kite, which unfortunately we didn't see, but catches the wind, placed 200 meters above the ship, and then of course it runs with the support of artificial intelligence. So how did you even begin to bring all those technologies together? And how did you think about bringing them together? And what's the size of your team that's helping you build this amazing project?
So the project is really the birth of decades of dreams, science and engineering. So the boat started with solar. It was only solar. And so the role of ZERI, my organization, the Zero Emissions Research and Initiatives, is to bundle technologies. So I joined the board and we started looking together at what are the other technologies that we can bundle together with the solar. And we realized that there was this grand new development of capturing wind at an elevation where no one had been catching it. That means more than 200 meters above the land or above the boat. And that intelligent kite is a kite that follows the movement that is the natural movement of air turbulence. It is not a straight line. It is not a wind gust. It is actually a continuous infinity that is being created. And of course, in 2015, not so many people were thinking about hydrogen. Hydrogen was a very expensive, far away objective. But it was decided by our board that we would be the pioneers investing in hydrogen, but not, as many do, by having simply the production of electricity from hydrogen you put on the boat. We decided to make the hydrogen ourselves from the most abundant resource after air, which is seawater. And so on the boat, we have the first installation in the world that takes seawater, that desalinizes, demineralizes, deionizes, electrolyzes, and then compresses. And the combination of the hydrogen, kite, plus solar gives you an unlimited source of energy.
That's fantastic. But the other thing, which I am also very intrigued to know about, is the talent. Where did you get the talent to work with you?
You know, it is one of the greatest challenges we have. I think if people ask me what was the most difficult thing here, is that there is just no university anywhere in the world training students how to make hydrogen from seawater, how to develop artificial intelligence on the basis of data you collected at sea from an intelligent kite. And so the key thing is to be able to expose a broad audience with those dreams and those visions. And then young people come up and say, I will do that. So it is really a self-selection of many young people who say, I want to be part of that. Because there is no ready engineer who can immediately jump in and say, I know. So for us, this is part of the mission. The mission is not just to demonstrate that the technology is viable. The mission is to inspire thousands of young people to come forward and say, that will be my career. I will be doing the next 10 systems. I will dedicate my life to securing that it can be done in a village, my village perhaps, that we have seawater and turn it into hydrogen at low cost. So to me, the talent question has been dominating all the time. So whenever we rotate the crew, we need to train everyone. Whenever we have new people on board, we have to secure that they not only understand one part, because the power of Porrima is not the individual technologies, is how it converts into a system that operates. And this is what we need in life. We don't need a technology changing and substituting another technology. We need to transform society. So this boat is a microcosm of the transition we need to make in our society.
So how do you join this microcosm? How would people apply if somebody is interested? And what experience people is expected to have to join?
So in the beginning, it was very chaotic. In the beginning, you get tons of emails and people saying, when can I join the boat? I will be in Japan. Can I just join? And that was the first days of Porrima. Today, we are better organized. We have created an organization called Blue Campus. And the Blue Campus is really a 9-month training program, because the goal is not to have one boat. This boat, we have to have 5 boats of these. We have to have 10 boats of these. We have to have thousands of sky sails operating power with the infinity. We have to have tens of thousands of installations where you take seawater and turn it into hydrogen. And if you don't have the talent, then we will be anecdotes. We will be nice stories, but we will not have transformed society.
So Porrima has been described as a change agent for climate impact. What is it that it does, or what is the hope that you expected out of it?
Well, if you look at the boat, you think, oh, they're going to change the super yacht industry. That's not our goal. We have a very deep wish, and our wish is to change first, foremost, and as fast as possible, the fishing industry. Okay. Fish. We have emptied the seas. We have really been overfishing, and worse, we have been fishing all the females with eggs and never permitted them to procreate. And if you do not permit an ecosystem to renew itself through procreation, then you are really losing the dynamics, the resilience, you're losing the energy and the force of life. And so the seas have been really suffering from overfishing on one hand, and on the other hand, from massive pollution, particularly the microplastics pollution. So what do we really want to achieve is a new generation of fishing boats. A fishing boat that is 100% running on renewables. Nearly all fishing boats around the world are heavily subsidized, heavy fuel ships. They are not contributing to sustainability. They're actually a symbol to many of us of how humanity has not been sustainable. And here, as I usually do, I go for inspiration in nature. The best fishermen, the most impressive fishermen are the dolphins, because they don't fish with nets. We know they don't use nets, but they fish with air bubbles. So they create these curtains of air that trap the fish, push them up. And then, of course, when the fish is stuck at the surface, they jump out. And of course, there's a dolphin that just catches the fish and eats it. And it is ingenious why, since the heavier fish, which is the female with the eggs, can pass through the curtain. We had looked at the model and we emulated the model. So a great team of creative engineers, naval engineers got together, headed by our superintendent and captain, Eric. And they looked at how could we implement that on this ship. So we are the first ones who are proposing to fish with air bubbles. So the fishing boat for us is the step and the focus number one.
Fascinating. But this boat is, I believe, the latest of the innovations and the ventures that was created with the blue economy concept. A concept that you, I believe, worked on or created in 2010 in a book that you published. And I have seen, and I'm going to quote you, how you wrote about the blue economy. And you said, you described it as the marriage of science, innovation, entrepreneurship, which creates a new business model that can transform society. But can you tell us, what is the work of blue economy in action, and how can more people, to your point, those people who want to be part of this change, how can they take part?
Well, the blue economy was the summary of about 20 years of work. I was asked by the United Nations in 1994 to help prepare, with a think tank, to help prepare COP3. So COP3 was the COP in Kyoto, where the Kyoto Protocol was decided. So I was in COP1, COP2, COP3. And the COP meetings were basically searching for a political framework to steer business towards sustainability, to steer society towards sustainability. But they were lacking the science. And I said, you don't have a lack of vision because we know the problems are there. You do not really have a lack of science, but you lack particularly the entrepreneurs, people who put it into practice. So in 2009, I presented to the Club of Rome a summary of my findings. And as a member of the Club of Rome, the club supported it very wholeheartedly. And we very quickly learned that there is not only a need, but that many people are looking for a new business model. How can we compete simply on the basis of price? How come the cheapest is the one that is considered the most competitive? So I also looked at the green economy, which was not even in 2009. The green economy was not even 0.1% of the world economy. Now, I've been fighting for the green economy for 30 years, and after 30 years, you're 0.1% of the economy. You must accept that you have to do better. So that's where the blue economy came in, that focused at all the resources we didn't use. And how can we generate value with what we have and are not using today? And of course, the first one that comes out is the oceans. And this ship is actually a crystallization of that, because we use seawater to make hydrogen, but we also can now have excess of energy to change fishing. And since we are fishing and we realize there's too much plastic, we still have enough energy to take the plastics out of the ocean. We do everything in that tiny little cosmos, which is a ship. So the blue economy started as an observation of what are the resources on Earth we're not using. Actually, we're using not so well at all. And the sea is blue, the oceans are blue, the sky is blue. So it's the blue economy.
Another interesting aspect of your work, which I was personally very fascinated with, is the work with youth, the Fables. I believe that you've created 365 Fables, which is Gunter's Fables, and it aims to get the children more connected with the environment and more environmentally and sustainability conscious. Tell me more about that.
So I have 6 children. How am I explaining to my children that I'm gone so much? It must be for a good reason. And the only reason that when my first son was born in 1990, the only reason I could give is that I'm trying to change the world. And so what kind of a world do I want to change? In what direction do I want to change it? That needed to be translated in a story.
So tell us a few examples of those stories.
A story of a whale that is swimming into the ocean, and the whale wants to fly. And it sees a seagull and it says, oh, I want to fly like you're flying. The seagull says, what are you talking about? I mean, you can swim from equator to Antarctic and back. And you want to fly? I can't get there just flying. Oh, no. But the world must be very beautiful from there. I mean, the view that you have of this sunrise and this sunset must be magnificent. It says, no, don't worry about it. No, says the whale. I have those little flippers. Let me try to get out of the water and get up. He said, you may even jump and splash, but you will never be able to get out of the water. But I have a question for you. You must be the King of Hearts. Me? King of Hearts? I don't play cards. No. The King of Hearts, you have the biggest heart of anyone on the world. Sure, yes. How much blood are you pumping? Me? I'm just a baby whale, but I'm doing 200 liters every pulse of my heart. 200 liters, yeah. And if I eat well, my mom says if I eat very well, I will be doing 1,000 liters like my dad does today. 1,000 liters, but where do you get the energy from? Well, I just make electricity and it pumps. You make electricity? Yeah. Well, everyone has a brain and a heart and must have electricity. How do you make it? Actually, I don't know very well, but it's in my food. In your food? Yes, and you're a seagull. You have a brain and a heart. You are also making electricity. I mean, we both are making electricity? Yes, you are. Wow, says the seagull. Probably you make so much power that you can light the lighthouse. So what I'm trying to bring to the child is basically that, wow, the whale pumps 1,000 liters with 6 volts. The story doesn't tell 6 volts. But the children very quickly figure out that it's 6 volt only for pumping 1,000 liters. And when the child goes home and says, Dad, the whale is pumping 1,000 liters with 6 volt, and he happens to be an engineer, he says, that's not possible. There's no pump in the world that can do 1,000 liters with 6 volt. And the child responds, but there are a million whales in the ocean that do that. And that will get them to think about renewable energy. They will imagine renewable energy because if the whale can do it, why can't we do it? And if dad says he can't do it, then the young boy, the young girl will say, when I am old, 22, 25, then I will do that. In the end, we work on the emotional intelligence of the child, the emotions. The child will get more confident. Confident in what? That the child can do better than dad and mom. And if a society has children who think that they can do better than their parents, that society has a future.
We spent the few minutes speaking about your work and understanding a little bit more your vision for the future with the blue economy. Maybe if you give us some time now to understand a little bit more about Gunter the person and educate our audience about Gunter the man. You have traveled extensively, and I believe you've visited most countries, and you have been resident in Japan since 1994, I believe, and you've stayed for a long time in South Africa. Which country, in your opinion, is doing the right thing towards climate action?
I think the only country I know is Bhutan.
Okay.
Tiny, up in the mountains, but so committed.
And is there a spot in this world that you like to go back to every now and then?
The mountains to ski. I mean, the most beautiful thing is to be all the way up in the mountains, 3, 4, 5,000 meters, look down and ski down.
If you could have known something that you know now at an earlier age, what would that be and how would it shaped you in a different way?
The magic of water. I mean, we do not know the science of water. We're just barely discovering that this unique molecule of water is behaving so different from anything else that we know. But since water is the most important molecule, it's everything else that is not behaving like water. So water. I think that every child should learn from day one, water. What is water in life?
And what is the biggest challenge you think the world is facing when it comes to fighting climate change?
Ignorance. We just don't realize what we are doing and the impact of everything that we do. We're ignorant. We are barely starting to learn to understand the very beginning of what this is all about.
And if there is one piece of advice that you would give the world for a better future, what would that be?
Every day, before you go to bed, tell a great story to a child, and the world will change.
Gunter, it has been an absolute pleasure having you with us. Thank you for being part of On Renewables. Thanks for listening to On Renewables. If you liked us, subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave us a rating on Apple Podcast. And if you've got any feedback or questions for any of us at the UAE Mission, leave us a comment on our social media pages on Instagram and on Twitter. Thanks for joining us and see you next time.